Hello, my name is Ekaterina Smith, and I will be presenting an overview of humanism and its ties to learning. We will be covering the following topics today in respect to humanism. We will discuss the background and history of the theory and the theorists involved, the concept of knowledge and how it becomes memory, the concept of learning and the learning process, and how motivation is described and what part motivation plays in knowledge acquisition and the learning process. We will also take a look at the implications for learning and finish this presentation by reviewing the resources utilized. Let's begin. Humanism was developed in the 1960s and has deep roots in the study of humans, dignity, freedom, and potential. Humanism calls for the strong desire to examine the person as a whole. It is often described as contrasting behaviorism because they are on the opposite ends of the learning theory spectrum. In humanism, it is believed that humans have the capacity and ability to grow, change, and develop while having the volition to make their own decisions. Merriam-Berima stated that a person's desires, wants, and needs is the primary focus. This quote is found on page 30 of the Merriam-Berima 2014 text. Maslow further explored a human being's desire to become everything they're capable of becoming. The key proponents of humanism were Carl Rogers and Abraham Maslow. The humanistic learning theory has strongly impacted adult learning theory. This includes andragogy, self-directed learning, and transformative learning as well. Humanistic psychologists believe that inner feelings and self-image both share strong ties with an individual's behavior. It goes on to say that each individual is unique and has the will and power to change throughout their entire lifespan. Carl Rogers focused on adult educators with a client-centered therapy approach and established the student-centered versus the teacher-centered method. During the student-centered approach, the educator serves as a facilitator to promote student engagement and learning by allowing them to take charge of their education. The student's desires, motivation, and willingness to learn must come from within themselves. Carl Rogers also emphasized the importance of becoming a lifelong learner. Learning is very individualized and looks very different for every human. In humanism, great emphasis is placed on the affective and cognitive domains. Humanism can be described as an optimistic and idealistic approach. Humanism suggests that an individual should free themselves of any boundaries and have the freedom to choose and create their own learning plan. This can include how, what, and when they learn. The following quote explains the definition of learning. To simply define learning, it is the acquiring of skills or knowledge through being taught, studying, or experience. This quote can be found on page 11 of the Knowles, Holton, and Swanson 2015 text. Learning plays a big role in changing and shaping an individual, which helps them to adapt to their environment. Harris and Schwann of 1961 state that learning is basically change caused by an experience. Maslow explored this topic even further by suggesting that the goal of learning is to reach self-actualization, which will encourage the individual the full utilization of their potential and their talents. Technology is extremely prevalent in the 21st century. There is a learning curve to proficiently and competently use different types of technology and software. This process may be uniquely difficult for some and second nature for others. Technology may be viewed as a helpful resource or even a roadblock depending on the learner. The generation of the learner may strongly contribute to the preference for the use of technology. Most educators share a vital goal, which includes utilizing methods that result in the most effective learning. This goal requires frequent change, adaptation to the environment, and redesigning so that others learn as deeply and as efficiently as possible. This can be found on page 1 of the Sawyer 2014 text. The goal is to make sure that the learner is gathering deep knowledge instead of just surface learning, and then be able to apply that knowledge in the world around them. A pivotal goal for the learning sciences is to help identify what practices are the most important based on the characteristics of a group of students in order to engage them, help them learn, all while designing an age-appropriate learning environment without compromising the authenticity of the actual professional practice. Humanism has strong ties to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The famous Maslow's pyramid has 5 tiers of human needs, demonstrating the needs of humans in order of their priority. Maslow's theories focus on the idea that humans are strongly motivated by needs which are in place in the order of their importance. Maslow's hierarchy of needs describes motivation as meeting each level of the pyramid in order to promote development and survival. Basic needs are on the first level and take priority in the very beginning. Once those needs are met, they lose their power as motivators, and the person begins to strive to satisfy those higher level needs. It is important to note that Maslow strongly encourages to assess comfort, health, and emotional stability before proceeding with the learning. Maslow's pyramid is built on physiological safety, love, belonging, self-esteem, and self-actualization needs. Reaching self-actualization is the priority goal. Humanism explores this further by stating that individuals have an internal drive to strive to reach self-actualization by working through their own capabilities and talents. Formative assessment allows the educator to pause, assess the student's progress and understanding of concepts, and allows them the opportunity to make decisions to improve the learning process while it is actively going on. Unlike summative evaluation, which assesses learning at the completion, formative evaluation provides numerous unique opportunities to reflect on the student's knowledge and grasping of information, and then provide the facilitator an opportunity to alter their teaching tactics if they need to. Formative evaluation can improve teaching and make it potentially more effective. Formative assessment does not have to be a standardized or high-stakes exam. If the humanism approach is being utilized, one method to complete an assessment is to stop the learning process, pose a few critical thinking questions to the students, and then allow them the opportunity to answer those questions in a variety of formats, such as on paper, electronically, or verbally. If this activity is completed verbally, this may actually promote critical thinking as the peers have an opportunity to discuss amongst themselves with their educator. Asking students to journal what they're learning and how they're feeling allows them to internally evaluate themselves and the learning process while keeping that information confidential for the instructor to read. A third method is to provide an opportunity for the student to evaluate themselves and encourage them to place a greater emphasis on their strengths instead of their weaknesses. One study examined 283 BSN nursing students' experience of clinical anecdotal notes as an effective form of formative feedback. This study came from the Quantz article in 2016. The majority of students valued verbal as well as anecdotal note feedback and especially preferred to receive feedback before their next learning experience. This is one benefit of conducting a formative assessment during the actual learning experience. To conclude, humanism believes on focusing on the individual and their needs as they grow and evolve through the learning process. Humanism plays a pivotal role in those learning theories. To conclude this presentation, a reference slide was created to demonstrate the 4 resources utilized to gather evidence and data for this presentation. Thank you for your time.